Hello from Gardening at Tillandsia here in Ireland, and this video is all about air plants, how to care for them in your own home, and we have a fine selection here to show you. As you can see, my air plant collection has really grown in the last while, and that's in no small part due to the fact that my son has started selling them as part of his mini company in school, so that kind of rekindled my interest. And I have a lovely selection here. Well, I think they're lovely anyway, which I'll walk you through in a little while. But the first thing is just some kind of general information about air plants. And yes, they grow on trees. But air plants are epiphytes, which means they grow on trees. They do actually produce some roots, as we can see with this plant here. But the roots aren't used to absorb water. They're used to actually anchor the plant to the tree that they're on. So that's just of interest. And the plants are covered in trichomes or scales, which are what are actually used to absorb water in the first place. And that gives them their nice silver colour. In terms of air plants, there are two types, as seen here on this little holder I have here. There are the green types and there are the silver types. Now the green ones are green because they come from more moisture laden areas, and they're just that bit more tricky because they need a bit more moisture. Whereas the silver ones come from arid areas and they deal very well with the environment that they might find in our houses. And how do these wonderful plants actually reproduce themselves, you might ask? And there are two ways. And the first way is the normal way, which is by producing flowers, which then go on to produce seed. And we can see here that this particular air plant has a flower spike on it, which is lovely, and it's going to produce the most gorgeous purple and pink flowers. This one is called Tillandsia argentea, and I can't wait to see that in flower. But some air plants have much more insignificant flowers, like the Spanish moss we see here, just laying as a tablecloth on the table. When it flowers, they're tiny little brown flowers that you'd hardly even notice unless you were looking out for them. Yet they do produce seed. And the second way that air plants reproduce is by producing pups, as we can see here. Now this plant here has a small pup here, which is developing, and this other one here has a much larger pup that is almost as big as the parent plant now at this stage. And at a later stage they can be divided, and then if you want to, and then you can just have two plants for the price of one. But I like to have them like this so that you get a nice big cluster, and I think it looks more impressive. Right, so how do you care for these plants? And the first thing you have to consider is light, and they do need good light. They need bright filtered light, like orchids do. An east or west facing window in your house is ideal, unless you've got special lights set up. And yeah, that should be grand for them. And then the next thing you need to consider is moisture. Now, I water air plants once a week, and I water them by submerging them in a bowl of warm water. So here's a bowl here. Now I'm going to do it in a minute, but a couple of things to bear in mind when you water the air plants is that do it early in the morning so that the plant has a chance to dry before the temperatures drop in the evening. And also in summer, perhaps your air plant might need a bit more frequent watering than once a week, depending on whether you have it outdoors or what part of the world you live in. But once a week is what I do. So when it comes time to water an air plant, all I do is take the plant here and just pop it into the water. And in it goes, submerging it completely. The cameraman can come in and have a look at that. And you can see that when they go into water, the silver ones turn green, which is a good sign. It's kind of counterintuitive. You wouldn't think that green means it's absorbed water, but that's exactly what it does. And you see those bubbles rising as well. They're an indication that the plant is actively absorbing water, which is what you want. So just pop them in there and leave them for 20 minutes to half an hour. Take them out, and when you take them out, give your air plant a good shake and lay it on a towel or somewhere where it can absorb water. After you think it seems quite dry, come back, give it another shake and turn it over if necessary. What you want to do is make sure that no water pools in the crown of the plant, because that can lead to rotting, or down at the base where the pups form. Now, what I used to do was to lay my air plants upside down like that to make sure that the water drained out from the centre. But it is a bad idea because a lot of these leaves are quite thin and they can break if you lay them upside down like that. So I've stopped doing that. Lay them on their side and then rotate them. Another thing to bear in mind is that if your air plant is in spike, as this one is, then you shouldn't submerge the spike or the flowers underwater. So this one gets watered by just dipping it in like that and leaving for 20 minutes until the rest of the plant has had a chance to absorb some water. And there we have it. That's how I take care of air plants, and it's a system that works quite well. I'm going to refer you now to a video my son made when he decided to sell air plants as part of his mini company. So the link to that video is going up above. And yeah, so if you want to see more about it, there you go. And check back soon, because when this little beauty comes into flower, you can be sure it's going to feature in a video of mine. Thanks very much for watching, everyone. Bye now. The air plant roots aren't actually used for absorbing water at all. You see this one here has a few roots on it. They're just used to cling to trees. Ah! Shit.